And our special focus at this hour, a shocking case in the national capital has brought the lens back on women's safety. A 24-year-old woman, Pooja Yadav, was shot dead at her home in the Jaipur area of Delhi. Two gunmen, masked, barged into her home and shot at her. She was rushed to a hospital, but she was declared brought dead. Now, the incident occurred at around 9 p.m. on Friday. When the two shooters actually barged inside her residence. The police have now arrested the accused Rocky, and as per sources, Rocky's brother and Pooja Yadav were in a relationship, but Rocky was against it. But what is most shocking is the fact that it took place in the heart of the national capital, and multiple such murders have been reported in the national capital in the past many months, particularly in the past 2 years, and women's safety continues to be a pipe dream for the national capital, in a sense confirming NCRB data that Delhi continues to be one of the worst cities and one of the most unsafe cities for women. Joining me on the program tonight, I'm being joined by Dr. Ran Kumari. She will be joining us in just a short while from now. Also with me, Lalita Kumar Mangalam, former chairperson of the National Commission for Women, and Dr. Vikram Singh, former DGP of Uttar Pradesh, is also with us. Thanks very much to both of you for joining us on this very important topic. Going across to you first, Lalita Kumar Mangalam. You know, almost every week, if not every 2 days, we see such brutal murders being reported in the national capital. There are two shocking aspects. One, of course, is the fact that they're extremely gruesome and gory and brutal. And second is the fact that, you know, these alleged murderers think that they can get away with it. You know, despite the fact that it's in the heart of the national capital, they think that, you know, they can get away with such a brutal murder.
You know, every time this happens, it leaves most people like us feeling both disgusted and helpless. A little over 2 years ago, a very, very close relative of mine was murdered, literally murdered, strangled to death in her own bed, in her home. She lived in Basant Vihar, easily one of the top enclaves of Delhi. That case is just dragging on. We are not just, you know, a people without some influence, as you know. So when I hear these sort of stories over and over again, I really sometimes wonder, we're living in a mirage or what? There's so much talk about women's safety. There's so much advocacy for it. There is so much really positive feeling and shame. Many Indians feel that in our capital, New Delhi, where the G20 takes place, etc., we still have women who are so vulnerable to men they know. More often than not, these are people whom women know, either relatives or staff or colleagues or friends, etc. And this is what is the most shameful thing.
Right.
What sort of men are we bringing up in this country? You know, we're always blaming the government. Yes, successive governments are to blame to a large extent. But it's not just the government. It's also us as a society, as a country. What are we, what sort of, so-called hubris or pride or whatever it is, or sense of invincibility, like you just said, that these men don't think they're going to ever get caught.
Right.
And what sort of local police? Are we really empowering our local police to be able to go against people like this, people who can bribe, people who can influence, etc., in Delhi? You know how Delhi runs, what it runs on, you know, the hava of both power and money, or either one of them.
That's a very important point. And as
Where
you said,
you know,
are we really empowering our local police? Are we really empowering our local police? That's an important point, and I'll come to that. But going across to you, Dr. Vikram Singh, you know, what can really act as a deterrent in these cases? Because we see that multiple such cases are being reported, and there are cases where, as Ms. Kumaramangalam was also mentioning, there are cases where husbands are involved, live-in partners are involved, you have, partners' family involved, like in this particular case. What is a deterrent when it comes to such cases?
To begin with, I'm in total agreement, and I share the anguish of Ms. Kumaramangalam. But yes, certainty of punishment is the biggest deterrent. I have ensured this as a junior superintendent of police, as a DIG range, and as a DGP. The certainty of punishment is the biggest deterrent, whether it is acid attack or offences of passion, as in this case. The fact of the matter, as very helplessly mentioned, and I join her anguish, Ms. Kumaramangalam, that these men are so brazen that they think that they're above law and nobody can touch them with a barge pole. And I'm yet to revive in my memory, has any action under the National Security Act been taken? We go by the routine sections of law like 307 of the IPC, 302. This is just not sufficient. You have to give the impression that you will not only strike at the roots, but you will finish, decimate them and demolish them. And this is possible only when you attach the movable and immovable property if they're absconding, and then invoke the provisions of public order section of the National Security Act so that it brings shame on the assailants that taking the name of Rocky will not be of much consequence.
Right.
And the police need to put their antenna, have greater surveillance on matters of jilted lovers and such matters, because these things are known to the public and the locality, and a community policing experiment can do a very positive role.
Absolutely, that's a very important point made there by you. But Ms. Kumaramangalam, coming on the point of metro cities, because that is also quite shocking that you have these cases being reported here, of course, in the national capital, also cities like Bengaluru, Mumbai, where all these brutal cases are reported. Why are metro cities particularly vulnerable? Or is it just that, there's more reportage as far as these metro cities are concerned?
I think personally it's a combination of both. Metro cities are also cities that are full of extremely tense people, ambition, the desire to get ahead at any cost. And, part of it is to always, especially for men, I still feel, unfortunately, young men, you have to have a girl on your arm, as they say. It's like an ornament, that you have in your life with you. The incapacity to accept that somebody has rejected you. How can a woman reject me? I mean, who is she? She's just a woman. That's still the cry from so many young men, and I mean, not just young, but also in this case, especially young men who don't seem to have the understanding that women too have a right of choice. It all again boils down around, to the old patriarchal, customary almost habits that we feed our men and young boys. I'm not saying everybody does it, but still the vast majority of men can't accept rejection. They feel that it's their birthright. Like you say, the entitlement that these men feel. And I agree with Mr. Vikram Singh that, justice has to be very ruthless and very fast. This section 307, 302, I agree totally with him when he says they're just too weak. Right. They're not enough deterrents. People will talk about, the lack of democracy and this and that. But what is democracy when women are being, swatted like flies almost?
Absolutely, and that justice aspect is extremely crucial. The fast tracking of cases.
Delhi has two girls or women raped every day. What is this? I mean, it's ridiculous. Not just ridiculous. Like I said, it's terrifying. Are we still in, the 1500s? I think women were probably better off in the 1500s in India. I'm not sure. We don't have data.
Coming back to the aspect of policing, Dr. Vikram Singh, as a former DGP, do you think there are police reforms? And I was discussing this with you at an earlier, in an earlier debate as well. Police reforms are extremely crucial, whether it's having more CCTVs or perhaps a more efficient PCR response. Do you think these reforms are extremely important when it comes to, metro cities, including the national capital? There are instances where there are women outside colleges, you won't see traffic lights, street lights either. So, these police reforms are extremely important. And constant improvement, constant innovations, reforms that are updated every 6 months, not every 60 years, but every 6 months. And the women's security has to be on the topmost priority. And as against VIP security and against bandobast, women's security, and at least move the topmost 2 cases every month in fast track courts and ensure at least 2 convictions every month. And I think that would be a major achievement. Then sensitivity of the police officers, being proactive, meeting the principles of women's colleges and institutions where women have a preponderance over the workforce. That is the place where you should identify that free access and absolutely safe access to places of work and a safe work environment. All right. That's an important point there.
Just let me add 1 minute. That is, we need to educate our women and girls much more in self-defense. Start teaching women that learn how to use a knife to protect yourself, learn how to use a gun, allow them to learn self-defense, whether it is karate, jujutsu, guns, whatever. Women are too scared. We don't, many of us just freeze. We get so scared, we get so terrified, which is understandable.
And also because of the fact that these cases of brutalities are really shocking. Because if you talk
Yes.
about that Shraddha Walkar murder case and the body was
Absolutely.
chopped off, and it was absolutely very disturbing. But Dr. Ranjana Kumari is also with us, women's rights activist and a writer and academic as well. Ranjana Kumari, how do you react to this as a women's activist, as somebody who deals with victims and survivors in such cases? How do you react to these cases of absolute brutality and barbarianism?
This is becoming common incidents all the time. We are hearing about how women's lives have become absolutely easily, anybody can beat them on the roadside, anybody can kill them. Femicide is as an idea is grown in India. A lot of girls are becoming target. Whether it is targeted by the people, the men who they don't want to accept as lovers, or they are not willing to go ahead with the kind of relationship that has been, advanced to them. This is really becoming a kind of, shocking. Every few days we hear some or the other girl is being brutally murdered. Now, we would like to know two things. One, of course, what is happening to so many cases? Is there any kind of judgment? Are we, delivering any kind of justice to them in terms of, punishing the culprit? If not, then certainly all kinds of elements are becoming emboldened. And also, secondly, I would like to also know what kind of police arrangement is there. How are they looking after such situations? Is there any kind of special force which has been trained to look after and save women from these kind of incidents? I don't see any progress in any of these things. So, both. Even if we say we come to the programs, we make these statements all the time, but it is not really helping. This femicide has to stop. This is only women are getting killed only because they are women and because they are in relationship with men who have a kind of power and authority given by the society, by the police, by the government. Everybody looks like that patriarchy rules at every
level.
One of these cases. So we have to really stop this. Parents have to be careful. Girls have to be careful now. Before you become friendly with someone, please don't go ahead.
So exercise some sort of caution is essentially what you're saying. But also coming back to this aspect of judiciary, because now we see that, there are fast track courts, but, you hardly see convictions in all of these cases. One forgets and one moves on from one case to another. We don't really see any convictions happening. And these fast track courts also have to be expanded in terms of their purview. Lalita Kumar Mangalam, would you like to come in on that? And then I'll go to Vikram Singh as well. But what do we do as far as these fast tracking of these cases is concerned?
No, I think, and many people are going to jump down my throat for this. I think the law needs to be given you must have a time limit that these cases should be gotten over in, say, 6 months or 10 months. And if it isn't, a penalty needs to be imposed on the lawmakers, on the upholders of the law. Right. We also need to have extremely quick grassroots work. By that I mean that, the policemen should have access to enough forensics labs, etc. Have to have better training. Like you were saying, police reforms, it includes a lot of things, not just empowering. That's why I said we need to really empower them.
Yes.
They need to be able to actually immediately do what is necessary. They have to be trained. The normal policeman doesn't know when he comes and sees somebody being murdered that they have to collect semen samples, etc., etc. And if they do know, where is the equipment available?
So time-bound response. Important point there. A time-bound response both by the police as well as the courts. Would you agree, Dr. Vikram Singh?
Yes, Mr. Vedant, I feel that I have total agreement with the illustrious Ms. Kumara Mangalam and Dr. Ranjana Kumari, iconic ladies of the country, but I'm absolutely aghast at the helplessness, which I also share their helplessness, and then yes. But the three quick points made by Ms. Kumara Mangalam, that there has to be a proactive approach, training and sensitization of the police force. Police force cannot be a boys' club. A thana cannot be a boys' club. Number two, the judiciary. If we can have a conviction of a rape case in Rajasthan in 7 days, I would say where there is a will, there is a way. Right. Put your best foot forward. I draw your attention to section 166A of the IPC that a police officer who is not active and does not abide by the law in case of such cases, he has to be prosecuted. Are we aware of a single case in the country? We are not. It is not Ramraj, sir. Such cases are happening, dime a dozen every day. But
So
not
we have to
prosecute
fix
a police
accountability
officer.
at every level, in a sense.
Absolutely.
That is really the road ahead for women's safety. Rajna Kumari, my last question to you, and then I'm afraid I'm running out of time. When cases of murder and brutality concerning women are reported, do you sense a sort of sensationalism or voyeurism that is attached to it in the reportage as far as these cases are concerned, whether it's the Shraddha Walkar case or the Nikki murder case or several other such cases? Do you sense that as a society we need to be more sensitive in reporting these cases, and as media as well, there is some level of voyeurism and sensationalism attached to it?
Vedanta, you just said it, because this is what is the problem. Because anything happening with the women becomes a kind of story which is sensational, which, and also as you saw in Shraddha Walkar case, that, all kinds of investigation process was leaked. Until date, we don't know what really happened. Once the whole case is over, people just, forget about the whole story. Still, it is going on. All kinds of investigation is leaked. People are trying to sensationalize it. This has to stop. This is a crime, and this is a serious crime, and women are suffering. Women are losing life. Young women are losing life. This is totally intolerable. This should not be sensationalized. Serious journalists should, understand, and they already know that they have to be sensitive toward these issues.
Yes.
Absolutely, and all of us need to be more sensitive because women's safety continues to be an elusive dream and a pipe dream in cities like Delhi. Thanks so much to all of you for joining us on this very important debate this evening. We'll take a short break now. There's more news on the other side.